Alright guys, Zentangle day 12, 3 new patterns. Yeah, let's jump into this. As always, you're going to need a pencil, something to draw with, and a black pen or a Sharpie, something along those lines. And let's see what our book today has to offer us. Set these aside real quick. You're going to want to get out your journal or a card to work in. Today I'm going to be working on the cards themselves, but just so we can get started, I got a blank card here because we got to get things set up. All right, so first and foremost, as always, I want to draw in my borders by marking 4 dots kind of towards the edges of how large I want this thing to be. I'm gonna imagine a string is kind of being dropped down on this thing. And yeah, I want to like find an outline. And today we have 3 patterns, so I'm going to make sure I have at least 3 spaces on the inside. And I'm going to kind of like separate this out. All right. So nice fluid motions. All right. So the first pattern we have today is this really cool pattern called Beelight. And Beelight is an interesting pattern because it looks like scales. And today's patterns are all about unity, harmony, variety. You can kind of see some of the other finished ones. But I want to kind of show you what this pattern looks like and how to do it. It's fairly simple. In whatever space you choose to work in, you're going to create a grid-like pattern. This is almost like lattice work. You can think of like this grid just turned. So I'm going to go and draw this in. So similar to this, I've got lines going kind of bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. So I recommend you do this in pencil first, but you know, at this point, some of you have gotten pretty comfortable with your marker pen skills. If you want to give that a try, just jump into it. Hey, I'm all for that. All right, so bottom left, top right. Then I want these to be parallel. Not parallel, sorry. I want to be parallel to one another, but I want them to intersect. Oh, made that one a little too narrow. That's okay. That's all good. It's not going to stick out when we get done anyways. All right. So I kind of stopped when I hit the outside edge. I'm not going to need that. I like a lot of these patterns that kind of float. So, you know, if I was to do this in this area right here, right, I'm just going to stop wherever it hits the edge. And then once I kind of ink it, I like to go back and erase that edge. Almost like it's floating. It's like, kind of like that style. You know, if you want to put a hard line around the outside of this one, that's okay too. Remember, you have like the ability to make some Zentangle changes via tangulations. All right. So first step is I'm just gonna pick this side, but I could really pick any side I want: top, bottom, left, right. And I'm gonna draw this little kind of half circle shape, just like this. I'm gonna fill it in. So it's like a little nose. So any little square I have here, it's going to have this little half circle. So let me get all those filled in, and then I'll show you the next step. Oh, wrong button. Hope you guys are doing good. Chilling out some Zentangles, some lo-fi. Drinking water. Should be. Delicious water. If you get into little spots where right here, maybe one could go here, maybe not. Maybe that's all I see. It's just that little part right there, and that's fine. If these run off, I'm not going to see them. over here where I just have like little parts of this, you know, if I can see some of that little nose, I draw it in. If I can't, it's fine. You just kind of stop at that kind of border. Now, of course, the goal is to try to make them look as uniform as possible, but, you know, it's all good. It's all good. I like to come in and clean mine up a little bit, make my lines a little thicker once I'm real happy with how things are looking, nice and filled in. Definitely see going over that line, making it a little bolder. This is an aesthetic decision, though, for me. I like that kind of pop art, bold line feel. All right. So, next steps are pretty simple. We're going to do these like lines kind of curving out from this little point. And I have 3 to 4 in each of these, but it could just be 2 if you wanted to. But I'm going to settle on 3. So 1, 2, 3, and I can stop. All right, and it's just kind of repeating that same 1, 2, 3. It's okay if it fits in weird, you know, because your squares aren't going to be perfect unless you like really measured them out. So like I have some, this line went from pretty much top to bottom, but this one's a little off. It's fine. And I'm just going to fill all these in like this. And shading these, the Beelight is pretty easy too. So, this little fish scale pattern. And again, areas that just run off, let them run off. You know, it's just gonna look floating. That's fine. Hope your classes are going good. Getting close to the end of the... Well, it's getting close to the end of the semester for some of y'all. I guess that dates this video a little bit if I start saying stuff like that. But yeah, I hope your classes are going well. In general. Alright. Shading for Beelight is pretty simple. I think we've had something similar to this, like this kind of like fish scale type pattern anyways. But what you're going to do is you're going to like shade this like they're scales. So for sake of the internet and kind of getting this recorded, I'm going to like imagine each of these as their own little object. So I'm going to say they're kind of stacked on top of each other. Kind of like just worrying about this top edge. And it would be like the top left and top right. Alright. And then kind of like, it'll almost be like the top half, I guess, will kind of get shaded of each of these. But the closer you get to like this line and this line, the darker it's going to be. So imagine, if you will, I'm shading with my pencil here. Making sure I'm getting all the grays I need in there. I'm going to go in a little darker. Get a little closer to the edge there. All right, and then right up against the line there, I'm gonna go even darker, and this is just gonna like help add the idea that these scales are kind of like stacked on top of one another. And I believe this is going to be this is like the only real shading today. It's just this one. I'm curious if any of you have like bought gray markers to shade like I do. Just curious. Just be interesting to know. Okay. And that's Beelight, yo. So, you know, wherever you put this on your card, you know, hopefully it turned out really nice. I like this pattern. All right, let's jump to the next one, okay? So the next one is called Chileon, or just Chillon, I guess. And Chileon and the next one, the last one, Bales, are very similar. They're all pretty similar, actually, because they all have this kind of grid structure to them. So, of course, I'm going to pick a new spot in my card, and, you know, I'm going to start drawing in that spot a new grid, all right? So, on this card now, got a shape here. So, for this grid, I'm going to curve my lattice design a little bit. I just kind of like, it's kind of different. I just kind of dig it. So instead of being like perfectly straight, I'm going to curve it a bit. And it's okay if it's not perfect. Again, like, we hide a lot with our patterns. All right, I'm going to go across. All right, and I'm gonna try to keep my lines parallel to one another as best I can. All right, just like that. You know, I stopped at my edges again. It'd be kind of cool if like you did your card and like maybe like some of these patterns hit these other patterns. That'd be some planning, which I guess you could do now. That would just be kind of cool. All right, so this is like so complicated it can, or so simple it can hurt your brain. Okay, so if you look what I got here, I'm gonna go like across the top of each of these lines, the lines that go from like this way, bottom right to top left, and I'm gonna make this half circle shape. So half circle, half circle. Right, and I'm going to do that on the top of each of these lines, going from bottom right to top left. So fancy. Again, so simple, right? So it's just the top of each of these lines. Okay. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do the top side of the lines that go from bottom left to top right. Just these little half circles. This kind of goes back to like the crescent moon, like day 1. But yeah, just making these little half circles. This pattern will have kind of a fabric-like feel. It's kind of like delicate, like lace. And that's it. That's the pattern. Got to be a record, right? When I'm done, I can clean up. And like I said, you can put a hard edge on this if you want. But I'm going to let mine float. And there's no shading here. I guess you could add value if you wanted to, but or shade in these little guys. But that's the pattern. It's Chileon. You kind of see how it looks like fabric. Okay. And Chileon leads us into Bales. Bales being our last pattern. And you can kind of go and get a sneak peek and see some of the similarities there. But this one, we got a little more. All right. So in your third space or kind of spaces, again, we're going to create another grid work. And I'll leave this one up to you whether you do it more curved or more straight. So I'll let that be dealer's choice, as they say. I'm going to curve mine like this way instead of this way. Like an upward curve. And I recommend making these a little bigger. Because we're going to draw these little squares inside. And I want you to make sure you have plenty of room for that. And again, it would be kind of cool if you like connected these all together in some crazy way. I did that again. I always make one too small. I think I've done that on every single example today. That's okay, though. That's okay. All right. Once you have your grid in, we have these half circles again, but kind of like where we just did them on the top of the lines for Chileon here, right? We're going to do them on both sides of each line. All right. So, for example, if I start like I did Chileon, right, do these little half circles here on the top of this line, like that. I'm also going to do on the bottom of that line. All right, and I'm going to do each of these lines first. It's kind of like the top and the bottom. I probably could go a little like deeper with my curve. I just don't want to overdo it and then not have enough room. I'm always turning my paper like crazy when I work. I'm sure some of you are in that same boat. Has it ever like bit you back? Because like I find if I don't keep like my area clean, like I'll get gunk all over the back of my journal and stuff, and it always bugs me. Or if I fold my journal, the paper gets all grody. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on these other exposed lines, and I'm kind of like completing the flower here, if you will. You kind of see that. Boom, boom. I'm just stopping when I hit the edge, just like I have been the whole time. Right, pretty fancy. They look like little flowers. It's like a more complex version of what we just did. And the last step for Bales, other than a little cleanup, is this little like square shape I have on the inside. I'm gonna make this little diamond that kind of mimics that shape, kind of right on the inside. You know, if it runs off the page, let the piece run off the page too. That's fine, or off the pattern. Again, there's no shading on this one, but if you wanted to kind of add some value, maybe like just this larger outer square, you could add like a shade, or the inner part would be kind of cool. Maybe if you like gave it a color, like you like, oh, I'm gonna make all my little diamonds green. That'd be kind of cool. Boop. Oh, forgot one right here. And I think that's too small to have one, but I'll just put a little line there. All right, I'm gonna erase my outside edge, and yo, that is those are the 3 patterns for today. I've worn my eraser through. That is an accomplishment. I just use the side of it too now. Frugal. I just really like these erasers. So those are your patterns for today, guys. Like, can't wait to see what you guys do. Make sure, like, when you're done, you upload your projects, your Zentangles, and I'll catch you guys next time. Be good. Bye-bye.